just like Kathy said.
So welcome. It is November 22nd and the fourth Monday of the month to begin our Mastery Monday for the month of November. This evening, we have distinguished Toastmaster Mervin Bierman, who is originally from Dundalk, Maryland, and currently resides in Bowie, Maryland. He is a retired United States Air Force officer and now a civilian government employee. He's a past district director of District 18 and twice over district chief judge. He's also a certified parliamentarian with the American Institute of Parliamentarians. Please help me welcome past district director and distinguished Toastmaster, Mervin Bierman, talking about judging versus evaluation.
Yay! Madam, thank you so much, Madam PQD, for that sterling introduction, spoken just as I wrote it. Thank you so very much. Judging and evaluation. These are two different animals. And if you lose everything else from this presentation, you've already gotten the heart of what I'm going to say. But it's been such an issue, such a problem, that you will notice that Toastmasters International has actually put together some slides on this issue. What's the difference and why? Well, first, as with any good presentation, we need to define our terms. What is judging and what is evaluation? Would someone like to come off mute and tell me what they believe judging to be?
I think it's a way to decide which is the better speech. Judge, to see, is this one better than this one? That's to me, that's what judging is.
I'll buy that definition. That's marvelous. Well, if that's judging, what's evaluation? Kathleen?
I would say evaluation is a way to give feedback to someone who is asking for the feedback, needs the feedback, and it is done in such a way to help them improve on their skill set and what they are trying to do.
Are the two terms interchangeable? No, they are not. And Ben and Kathleen, who read their cue cards with great alacrity, have well defined what judging and evaluation are all about. As Kathleen mentioned earlier, I retired out of the United States military a long time ago. But in my day, I was a command briefer. I was the guy that got up in front of the decision makers and said, here's how many airplanes you have on the ramp ready to go. Did that every day. And we were taught something called the bluff. Bottom line up front. The heart of this presentation is to tell you that judging goes with contests. Evaluations go with meetings. And to give you some more definition, we'll go into this in more depth here in just a few moments. But if you remember that if you are judging, you should be in a contest. Okay? Easy stuff, right? Contest versus meetings. They sometimes look similar, but those of you who have been to contests, those of you who have been to meetings, know that their structure is different, their feel is different. Now, here's some of the ways judging and evaluation are different. Judging, and for this example, I'm using the international speech ballot. 50% of what you write down, 50% is based on the content that you hear. What do the words say? Evaluation, on the other hand, is the majority delivery. Gestures, movement, vocal variety. Judging is objective. And I'm going to combine the next two bullets, because it has a fixed criteria. You have a ballot that tells you precisely what to look for and how to score it. In the evaluation, you're more subjective. What did you see? What did you hear? What did you feel? Judging is focused. How did Benjamin do on this speech, this day, in this environment? You get one shot at it. Evaluations, well, Ben has shown significant progress over his last three presentations, his last three speeches. He no longer runs off stage and throws up. We see that as positive progress. Yay, Ben. Two very different things. But there are more differences. Judging is private. Judging takes place between your ears. You and you alone, as the judge, you do the judging. No one can tell you how many points to award the speaker for dress and appearance, for gestures, for anything else. The evaluation, on the other hand, is very public. Hi, my name is Mervin Bierman, and I'll be evaluating Kathleen Davis's presentation this evening. Two very different things. I cannot emphasize the next bullet enough. Judges are anonymous to the maximum extent practical. What does that mean? That means that if you have been selected as a judge, please do not come running into the back of the room saying, where's the chief judge? I'm supposed to be a judge tonight. Please don't do that. As an evaluator, however, your name is in the agenda. Lori will be evaluating Benjamin's speech. Judging goes on the ballot. The evaluation is written as well, but it's written on the Pathways feedback form. You also have to deliver it orally. Tell me what I need to know. Tell me where my weak spots are. Tell me how I can best improve. Judging, I'm anonymous. I'm working inside my head. This is impersonal. I don't care if the contestant on the speaking platform is your friend, is your enemy, is your frenemy. It doesn't matter. How did that person do that day with that speech in that environment? Evaluations, on the other hand, you need to be a little empathetic. Well, I know that they had a house fire this week, and maybe he didn't have enough practice time on this speech. So I'm going to try to spare his feelings. I'm going to try to encourage further work. This reminds me of a feedback and evaluation that was given to me during an icebreaker. I gave my icebreaker at an Air Force installation in Aurora, Colorado, about 4 years ago. And I will never forget, my evaluator got up to give me feedback on my very first icebreaker. He stood there, shoulders back, feet shoulder width apart, looked me dead in the eye. Well, you know what a good speaker would have done is, yeah. I do not know anything else he said that in the evening. I shut down completely. It was a complete waste of time, money, and effort because I gained nothing from that feedback, except that I obviously was not a good speaker.
I have a question.
Yes.
So when we look at judging versus evaluating, am I to be more critical when I judge versus encouraging when I evaluate?
An excellent point. Thank you for that. You are exactly correct. You are judging to pick a winner. You're going to rack, pack, and stack the speakers. And if your friend is in second place, your friend is in second place. Now, when you go to evaluate, there's no racking and stacking. It's a one-on-one evaluation back to the speaker. Here's what I saw. Here's what I heard. Here's what I felt. And they are my opinions. Notice that on an earlier slide, we talked about being subjective versus objective. This is where that comes into play. Have I addressed the question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, moving right along. How do you do these things? Well, here you go. Judging is on the left, evaluating is on the right. Right off the ballot, your content, your delivery, your language. Here's your criteria. Here's your scoring points. Here is your scorecard. And as the former chief judge, I'm not going to try to tell you how to judge another speaker as long as you are consistent. I personally start at 70 points and move up and down the scale. Other people start at 100 points and start removing points. Others start at 0 and add points. Now, those of you familiar with Oscar Zalamia, he uses the very complex rainbows and unicorn scoring method. I'm not going to try to teach you that. But as long as you're consistent, you're doing exactly the right thing. On the other hand, evaluating, you have several methods. Choose the one most appropriate for what you're trying to say. A long time ago, back when, let me think. George Bush the First was in the White House. I was taught the glove method. Gestures, language, organization, voice, enthusiasm. Those are the 5 things that I'm going to evaluate. And in that 2 to 3 minutes that I have to provide the evaluation, love your gestures. Your language was a little technical. Your organization was good. Your voice faded as you got tired at the end, but you were enthusiastic about your presentation. I would work on gestures and voice. Kathleen, you have your hand up.
Yes. Is there a difference between judging at a club level versus a district level or anything in between or above and below?
Thank you for that question. And no, I did not plant that. Technically, there is no real difference with the exception of the number of judges in use. However, comma, space, pause for effect. You don't want to crush someone's ideas the very first contest they ever enter. You need to have some, okay, I'll use the word empathy. I'm still going to score them, but I'm going to be perhaps a little more lenient in the way I mark down points. The goal is still to rack and stack and pick the best speaker from that evening. Not your friend, not a loved one, not the person who bought you dinner. The best speaker, that time, that place, that environment. Have I addressed the question?
Yes, I have a follow-up question to that.
Oh, all right.
If I saw someone give a contest speech at the area level, but then I saw them give it again at the district level, and I could see that they were just more nervous, can I still grade them technically at the area level and say that they just had a bad night. They were just extra nervous for some reason, but what a great speech? Or am I judging them on that moment in time?
Thank you for supplying your own answer. That moment in time, that speech, that evening, that environment. Is that harsh? I don't think so. It will not win you friends and influence people, but it is keeping in the spirit of the contest. Because in the end, you as the judge, your job is to pick the winner. Now, what does the winner mean? That means the person who's competitive at the next level. The person who did the very best that night or afternoon or early morning or whenever you get around to it. Have I addressed your question?
Yes, but is there a difference then if I'm in a club meeting where we pick the best speaker of the day versus a contest where I'm judging and picking the winner of the day?
Not significantly, I would suggest. Now, of course, in the contest, you have further complications. You have people looking to disqualify the speaker for doing things like referring to another speaker's presentation. You have the tyranny of the timer. You have the green, yellow, red lights, and this time it counts. It's not identical to the club. It's simply building on the experience as you move from club to area to division to district to region to semifinals to the World Championship of Public Speaking. Have I addressed the question again? Yay, me. And I apologize, everyone. Where did I get to on evaluations? Sandwich method. Yeah.
Yes.
Something good, something to work on, something good. Easy, quick, and that method has won more than a few evaluation contests. The SFH method. What have you seen? What have you felt? What have you heard? It's really as simple as that. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to see or try all of these methods. I recommend you try them all out. Try out some of the other ones you'll find on the Toastmasters website. There is the broom method, where you sweep up everything you heard. I find it very difficult to use that one because I don't know where to focus my attention. You have the focused feedback. Benjamin has asked me to evaluate his speech and wants me to specifically look at vocal variety. That's going to be my first, second, and third points as I've provide that evaluation, because those are things he wants to learn, wants to follow up on, wants to exercise. We talked about the objective versus subjective in judging. Right here on the ballot, the written criteria. The intent is to provide that level playing field And those of you who have been to one of my contests will recognize my mantra that I use. Every contest I'm involved with, I want to be fast, fun, and fair. Those are my 3 touch points: fast, fun, and fair. Hence the written criteria and the level playing field. And we talked about that day, that speech, that environment. Well, you're supposed to just pick your evaluation out of the air? Oh, no. Pathways guidelines. Here's what you look for. Note the speaker's growth. I noticed that your gestures are much more fluid than they were last month. I noticed you didn't fall off the stage. You did not drop your prop. Right? Be sensitive to the presenter's experience and abilities. Otherwise, you end up with an evaluation from back then, what a good speaker would have done. I keep coming back to the idea of focus versus broad, because this is where judging and evaluations conflict. Judging is, what did you see, hear, and feel that presentation, that day, that environment in isolation. You've never heard this human being speak before. Regardless, this is a one-time shot. It's a snapshot in time. The evaluation, on the other hand, take into context. His gestures have improved. His vocal variety has expanded. His vocabulary has expanded. In context, how that person is growing, changing, adapting. And I'm not going to beat that one to death anymore. But it's important that we realize judging and evaluation approach from 2 very different directions and 2 very different methods. Public and private. Judging, we talked about it already. It's between your ears. Don't discuss your judging with anybody. Hey, Kathleen, what'd you think of speaker number 3? No. What went on in your head using the criteria in front of you. Don't discuss it. Don't compare it. Don't do any of that. And when you're finished marking up your ballot, I am not going to tell you that your ballot is classified. That has a very special meaning to some of us. Your ballot is what we call close hold. Do not post it on the internet. Do not email it to your friends. Don't even take it home and put it on the refrigerator. Now, Tez Ellsworth had a very special methodology that he would take the ballot, he would collect all the ballots as the chief judge, and he would take them home with him. And at the next full moon, he would light them in a fire pit with just a little kerosene, a little lighter fluid, and do a New York strip over the top of them. So what does this mean? Don't take your ballot and throw it in the trash can by the door on the way out. Take it home with you. Make it disappear. Okay? Evaluations, on the other hand, you want the speaker to know what you thought. You fill out the form. Here, read this. Let's discuss it. I thought your vocal variety was marvelous. This is an area of improvement. Yay! Compare and contrast. I am so pleased to see that you didn't throw up at all this time. It's just positive. And you're not shy about sharing it with anyone. Your votes, your ballot is not shared. What you say is shared. Okay?
I have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
The ballot, though, is to be shared with the timer and the chief judge, correct?
Oh, thank you for that. And the answer is no. The ballot is shared with the chief judge. That is the, I'm sorry, with the ballot counters.
The ballot counters. Excuse me.
The timers, none their business. And I'm glad you brought that up because I do get the question, well, what about the speaker? If I'm the judge and they've gone over time, I've looked at it pretty close. There's nowhere on the ballot for you to write down over time. As a judge, it's none your business. The timer takes care of that. The timer is the one who can decide whether or not you disqualified for time. And please believe me, people have done it at every level. In fact, at the 2019 World Championship of Public Speaking, or 2020, I apologize. One of the speakers busted for time. At the World Championship of Public Speaking, this was a presentation he'd worked on for almost 15 months, and he busted for time. So it does happen. Here's your last slide. Here's your last informational slide. Judging, your job is to select a winner. That's it. You rack, pack, and stack. And the person who's in third place is the person that's in third place, second, and first. That's your goal as a judge. As an evaluator, main goal is to give the speaker something to build on. What was done right and what can be improved. Your job is to assist the speaker. Rack, pack, and stack, assist the speaker. Two different things. Difficulty. Judging is easy. You just fill out the form, sign your name at the bottom. How hard can that be? Quality judging, on the other hand, is tough. It takes concentration. It takes work. It takes time. Well, evaluations aren't hard. I just listened to Clyde just a moment ago. I'm evaluating Clyde. This isn't hard. Oh, wait. I have to take into account Clyde's experience and what was he trying to achieve. And he asked me to concentrate on gestures. Quality evaluating is hard too. So in the last 33 minutes, my goal was 30, the last 33 minutes, what does all that mean? And there is another one of those U.S. military acronyms, BLL, bottom line last. This is where you repeat the key point in the presentation. And if you need further explanation, take a judge's ballot and take the pathways criteria. Read them both. One is judging to select a winner. The other is supporting, driving motivation. The two are different. Just in case you thought I made all this stuff up, go to the current contest rule book. That's item 1171. If you haven't already downloaded it and read it, please do so. If nothing else, it leads to some marvelous discussions. We'll call them discussions. And take that contest speech ballot, which is item 1172. Looks a lot like this. And read it. Read what the criteria are. Read what the scoring is. Read how to use the ballot. The speech contest website has a plethora of information. You are hip deep in material that will help you be a better judge. Now, this is where I irritate Ben, because I'm going to recommend that you take the judge's workshop. It is not judge's training. It is the judge's workshop, and actually practice being a judge. It's a great way to exercise those parts of your brain that don't usually get all that deeply exercised, and review the resources and evaluate to motivate. It will tell you exactly how to provide that evaluation to a speaker. Kathleen, I see your hand up again.
Can anyone be a judge and anyone be an evaluator?
What an excellent question. I refer you to the current contest rule book, item 1171. Under general requirements, it tells you what you need to do to be a judge. Basically, complete levels 1 and 2 in any pathways, or have completed a minimum of 6 speeches in the legacy book, for those of you who are a little slow in picking up your pathways. There can be no other requirements added on to what appear in the rule book. That's the rules to be a judge. To be an evaluator, you have to be a member in good standing in a club in good standing. If you're check cleared, did I answer the question? I'm going to assume so, since I didn't hear anything. Now comes the fun part. I will answer any questions you have within the limits of the law and good taste, of course. Ben, you either have a question or you want to go potty, one or the other.
Well, both. But my main question is, there are some definitive characteristics of being a good judge. And I was hoping that you would be able to expand on what those specific 5 characteristics were as spelled out by Toastmasters International.
Why, thank you for that. Member in good standing, club in good standing, completed a minimum number of presentations in accordance with the rule book. You have to have read the rule book.
Mhm.
Let's be clear here. You have to use the proper ballot. And yes, there's a different ballot for a table topics contest, for an international contest, for a humorous contest. No, they are not interchangeable. Am I going down the wrong path here?
No, I get where you're going, but there was something else that Toastmasters International said that we need to be a very sort of accomplished judge.
A top tier judge.
Right. And I was hoping that maybe you can expand on what those 5 specific characteristics would be.
What an excellent question. I wish I'd written them down and had them in front of me. So there.
So I was going for the specific characteristics, like, do I need to be trustworthy? I mean, like, because you talk
the
about
Boy Scouts.
Yes. So you're talking about taking your ballots and then just putting them all over the internet. So my friend is competing and I'm the judge. Do I need to be fair and unbiased?
That's your job.
Right. So you're saying I need to be fair. I need to be trustworthy. Do I need to know the rule book as a judge?
I think I mentioned reading this.
Yes. So I guess I need to be
maybe read for comprehension this time.
Knowledgeable. Okay.
Yeah.
Do I need to be a good listener?
That would certainly help.
Okay.
What did he say? What?
Good listener. Yeah, I think so. Okay. And then also, when I'm adding up the numbers, I have to make sure I'm accurate with my math, right?
That's an excellent point, because
checking.
when you do that, it makes the job of the ballot counter a whole lot easier.
Okay.
Right. Please, do not make the math hard. I have seen ballots with 0.5 points. Remember, your ballot counter is a volunteer. Let's not abuse the ballot counters if we can avoid it.
All right. Yeah, you answered my question. Yeah, very good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anything else?
Anne-Marie. Yeah, Anne-Marie raised her hand. Yep.
Oh, hi, Anne-Marie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm old.
You're alive. Hallelujah.
She started it.
So when, as a judge, is it okay to use your calculator on your phone to add up the ballot?
What a marvelous question. I am so glad you asked that. Don't tell anybody. I do it too.
I haven't done it, but I was wondering if I could have done it at the time I was judging. I didn't want it to be
the next time you are in Walmart, that epitome of capitalism, and at the checkout stand, they've got the little $3 calculator.
Okay. So that's good,
$3.
But not the one on your phone, because the phone can give you more information, I guess, and it's the limit.
You may use your phone. You may use your laptop. You may use the mainframe you have in the basement.
Okay.
Whatever makes you happy.
Okay. Thank you.
It's hard using the slide rule. I tried. Tough.
Thanks.
Have I answered the question?
Yes, you certainly did.
Thank you. Now, for everyone's edification, I am not the chief judge this year. You will receive further guidance from the chief judge, who will be translating and interpreting guidance she receives from TI. Why is this important? Because the rules change every year. There are very specific rules that, how do I put this? I suggest that District 18 has had a hand in manufacturing. One of the major changes this year is that anyone who has declared interest in running for an elected office, don't care what it is, if it's a deck position, anything like that, you may not compete. Ooh. Well, how does that affect me? Well, for my part, if I want to compete, I have to avoid those positions. If you would like to compete, you need to avoid those positions. Anything else?
Small correction there. That's
Uh-oh.
actually not a new rule. The new rule is that if you are running for an elected position, you cannot be the test speaker in the evaluation contest.
You're right. You're right.
Deck members are precluded from
Are
participating
already
in the
precluded.
contest. That is
Yes.
correct. Yes.
Which is why it's important to have a new rule book. Do not depend on memory. I barely remember where I parked, so do not depend on memory. Other comments, other suggestions? Anything I haven't covered? Anything that needs further explanation? Or are you ready to go back to Monday Night Football?
Well, excellent.
Kathleen?
Thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster Mervin Bierman, for giving us this education this evening. As always, the Mastery Mondays occur on the fourth Monday of every month. However, December Mastery Monday, we are taking the holiday time off, giving all of our speakers a break, and we will be restarting in January with our very own District 18 District Director, Mr. Benjamin Christ, and his presentation on how to hold proper meetings. With that, I'm going to sign off for this evening. Thank you so very much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in the new year. Thank you so much.
And thank you all. Good night.